From WCI3 Plus, with your host, Kevin Lighty, this is Behind the Forecast.
What's up, everybody? I'm WCA3 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty. It says so right there. Don't forget to give us some likes and some follows and all that good stuff that you see right up here. And welcome back to another edition here of the show. Excited to have you here with us as we're going to be talking a little bit more about this wild start to winter that we've had here as of late. We're going to bring in meteorologist Jacob Dickey, kind of talk about what we've had here so far. Some of the things we've been seeing, how rare some of this is. We're going to break that down for you and coming up a little bit later on in the show. But we always have to start out our show here with our viral weather videos of the week. And so here we go as we count them down from 5 to number 1. Video number 5. There's a lot going on in Washington. That's what I'll start out with here because they've gotten pounded by a ton of heavy rainfall. So what you're looking at here is basically a blockage of debris from floodwaters here that were swept there near the Lake Stevens, Washington area. So these massive pile of debris, this is over Route 2, stuck under the bridge, okay? It's an offshoot of the Snohomish River, okay? And so you can see them right there. Look at that. Look at all those trees. Everything is kind of blocking things there with the water, the power of water. I mean, all those are like logs and trees. Just amazing. Always the power of water and what it can do. So we're going to be sticking around in Washington a lot here. So get ready. Here we go. Video number 4. This is also going to be in Pacific Washington, a levee failure. That's right. So basically they had, a levee that prevents water from kind of flowing in. Well, that levee broke and now many areas were underwater. As a result, in the Pacific Washington area with this levee failure, pretty wild stuff there. You can see all those homes there. So there it is. You can kind of see some of that failure. That's right there. And so the water just came kind of flowing in. So tough situation with a lot of water there in the northwestern portion of the United States. Okay, here we go. Now, we're going to try to get through some of this here, but this is drone rescue video. There was a man that got stuck in water. So the video is a little jumpy here, but they put this drone out there, okay, and they dropped a life jacket to him so that he could put the life jacket on. You're going to see it here in just a second. You're going to see the man come up here look at the tree. You can see the fast moving water. All right, here he is. Here comes the truck. End of view. Here in just a moment, I promise. They're trying to see, this is the difficulties of flying a drone, right? So you're trying to fly this drone here. So there he is doing his thing, and they finally get over to him, and they drop down from up above, because you can do this with these drones. You can attach what are called payloads to them, and they drop down the life jacket to him, and he grabs onto it. There he is. Look at that. Isn't that kind of crazy? I just think that's so cool. So they put it on him. Then eventually, so there he is. He's putting it on. He's got the little flashing lights. And then eventually they come and they rescue him. So how about that? All right, let's have a little bit more fun here with some snow. Snow, much fun. This, ironically, not in Washington. Washington Township, which is actually New Jersey. You can see the kids out there sledding, having a good time. All that energy running up and down the hill, climbing. Boy, to be young again, right? To be young again. Climbing and just having no cares. Maybe getting taken out a few times. Oh, wipe out and gets back up. How about it? All right, we're going to skip things along here to Chicago. Chicago, that title in town. All right, it's a little Frank Sinatra there. I don't want to get copyright here, so we won't sing too much. Just some of the snowy lights and beautiful shots of Chicago, Michigan Avenue, and the trees that are lit up there, and then some of my favorite parts of this video. You've got the ice skating, and then, Wrigley Field. Just outside Wrigley Field, they've got like a little market out there, and so pretty cool. I've actually been to this before, but pretty neat little setup there that they've got just outside of Wrigley. I gotta love it. Baseball season. We're just a few months away, right? We're not that far away. All right, guys. That is pretty much going to do it for our viral weather videos here. Some bad stuff, but then we ended it on some fun stuff there with the snow and Wrigley. You can't beat it. You also cannot beat our second half of the episode that's coming up here, where we will be joined by meteorologist Jacob Dickey, who's going to help us talk a little bit about the wild and crazy weather we have had so far this season. That is coming up after the break. All right, welcome back here to Behind the Forecast. I'm WCA3 Chief Meteorologist Kevin Lighty. And so what we're going to do here for the second half of the show here is talk a little weather. And so once a month, we're going to start bringing in some of the guys here on the weather team, Adam and Seth and Jacob. And sometimes it'll be, all of us. Sometimes it'll be a couple of us. And today we've got Jacob that's in here with us. There he is. What's up, Jacob? What are you doing, man?
Good to be here.
Holy cow. What is going on? We've had some weather here to start out here this winter, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, this has been through the middle of the month when we had that last snow event. It was the fastest start for Champaign, Springfield. I'm sorry, Decatur, Springfield, and Peoria. Champaign came at number 2. We were at number 3 for Danville, and I think Charleston was also number. What that means basically is we've had a lot of snow really early in the game here. And a lot of folks are saying, hey, there's some similarities to the 70s and early 80s out there. 1982, I think it was, had a bunch of snow right out of the bat. And then Christmas was really warm, and then it snowed in January and February. And I think there's some similarities even in the 70s where some 50s happened before January got underway. So we'll see what happens, Kevin.
So, yeah, like you said, we had that snow there just before Thanksgiving, or just after Thanksgiving.
I can't remember anymore.
They all
blend together.
They all do run together here. So we had that. That was like, 7-8 inches, in some areas there. And then
I think that was the one, there was some 8 to 12, wasn't there?
Yeah.
North Springfield.
There might have been, some 11s.
That southern man kind of just.
So this winter so far, off to a rapid start. You mentioned there the fastest start for some of those cities there. Champagne's like what?
Champagne's tied for 2.
Tied for number 2.
And I think we beat the 70s. I think it's the 1950 or 1948 maybe. I mean, it's been a long time since we've had this much snow this early.
A lot of snow super early on here. A lot of people, I don't want to say caught off guard, but I think they're surprised because
the last 2 winters have been
diddly
squat, right?
Yeah, we haven't had anything. So a lot of people are, going, whoa, what? Wait a second here. Because they've been complaining a lot about how we've not had any winters. We don't have winters anymore. And now we've had what we've had over the past month.
Since I've been here, I think we've had 2 or 3 winters where it wasn't until after Christmas that we had our first measurable snow. We get a flurry here and there in October, November, but to get something to stick, and then we just came out of the gates. I mean, snow like crazy for a couple of these events. So, we've been spoiled rotten. And you look at some of the numbers where, the last big event, our year probably where we've had snow early on, I think you got to go back to 2015 that we had some bigger November, December snow events. It seems like in recent years, our Januaries and Februaries have been pretty daunting in the snow and cold, but this has been November, December. So I don't know. Are you open to the idea of more cold and snow, January, February? Are you a fan of it, Kevin? You warm weather?
Am I a fan of it, or
thin
am I?
Yet, or as we get older, the cold air bother us?
Well, I actually prefer the cold over hot. I'm way more of a I would rather have the cold that we've had than have the 120 degree heat index. Hate being hot.
Yeah. See, I think the opposite. My wife and I both talk about where we like the colder weather, but we like the colder weather where there's cold weather things to do. You can't really go skiing around here. You can't really go snowmobiling that much. But the heat, you can go to the pool. I mean, I literally had the thought this week a couple of times, and I had to talk myself out of it where I'm thinking, oh man, is it spring? What's going on here? Because this warm up we've been having as well through yesterday, today, and of course this front coming through ruining that for Friday. But just kind of teasing us a little bit. I kind of my brain is not processing what season we're in. It's like, no, winter hasn't even started. It's next week, Kevin. First day of winter coming our way. So that'll be something that we'll see what happens, right? I mean, all this snow, and it's not even technically by the calendar.
And that's what and that's what I keep telling people, is saying that again. We've got meteorological winter, December 1, the winter solstice officially December 21st, which goes for another 3 months. Factor that and just think about that. 3 months still of winter.
And we've had 80% of our average annual snow this year in Champaign-Urbana.
Yeah, so I think we're 18.4.
18.4 is the number for us.
And
Some
so we're
spots are over
averaging
20.
like 23 or so.
So
pretty wild to have numbers like that.
I think your winter weather forecast, where we'd be above average, is
above average is going to hit.
Yeah.
I think
the
above
question now is how above average will we?
Above average is going to hit.
It'd be something else to just not have any more snow the rest of the year. That would be one of the more meteorological bizarre things I think I'd probably ever experience if we just blitzed it all in November, December, and then we had 60s and 70s. That's not going to happen. But
yeah,
who knows these days? It's Illinois, right?
You don't know. Here's the thing, though. I think this last round that we had with the cold, I don't want to say I was surprised, but I was like, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah.
When it's really, 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 really cold, and you have the snow come down the way that it did, the roads were in bad shape on Sunday night because the salt doesn't work. And like I was out Sunday, I was slipping everywhere in my big SUV, just sliding through intersections because it was just a sheet of ice.
Yeah, and I think too, when you think about the weekend event as well, when you had those major crashes in Springfield and in Mattoon, kind of looking back, ground temperatures were a little warm to start, even when the snow started. So it kind of melted things with that cold. I mean, we dropped to the teens really quickly. I really think, Kevin, that was a big contributing factor even to those crashes early on. That first snow band that kind of came down, you could draw a line from Springfield to Decatur, to south of Decatur, then off to Mattoon, Charleston, and that's where those crashes were. And that early snow band, I think, got the roads wet. The cold air came and froze, and we just kept adding snow on snow on snow, and that's why I think it was such a mess out there for some of the days. We just kind of stayed snowy here, and at that point, there's been some stories the newsroom's done. Salt and brine doesn't really work normally when you get that cold, and so we dealt with it for quite a while. But also been interesting, too, to see the sun come out and melt things pretty well the last few days here. And it's crazy to think that, years past, this snow would stick around, and we'd have, 30, 40 days where there's a snow depth on the ground. But we talked to Dr. Trent Ford for our winter weather special, and he's saying, it's more the freeze-thaw cycle. The snow just doesn't stick around as long as it used to, and those potholes are... Have you seen the potholes too now, Kevin? Now you went from slipping and sliding to, cocoon.
Yeah. No, yes, there's been a few. And there's one that I drive when I drive down Randolph, is over by the railroad tracks over there. And I was like, this thing is huge. And then I didn't realize, there was a way to report to the city.
There is, yeah. Some cities have those apps and whatnot.
You can report to them. And I was like, I'm going to report to the city of Champaign this pothole.
Signed Kevin Light.
Yeah, exactly.
It was gone the next day.
Yeah, well, no, what's funny is I forgot to submit the report, but the next day, suddenly it was fixed. So they must have heard me or something.
Yeah,
but I don't think that we're done with the potholes. This freezing and thawing, these temperatures, we 50s and then down below freezing again. And then I think people have been dealing with, frozen pipes and then these, burst pipes, water mains in some of the cities too.
Yeah, and I think that's another thing when you look at the ground temperatures and whatnot. The ground is actually still fairly warm in most spots, but I think the fact that it was cold and how dry the ground is, that's something else you can think about with the snow is we've had a lot of snow. It hasn't done much to help the drought out there. The half inch of rain coming this Thursday here today through the area on average, I mean, that's about 2/3 of the total watered down content of all the snow that we've had. Most areas are still under an inch. Some spots are a little more inch and a quarter with the snowfall that we've had. When you take all that 18, 20 inches and you melt that down, doesn't add up to a whole lot of moisture. The one good thing is that it does slowly seep on in, but beneath that top 2, 3, 4 inches, those water pipes, they typically sit down 3, 4 feet in the ground. It's so dry that I think there's just so much more shifting, and the freeze thaw is kind of getting those a little bit maybe. I mean, there's a number of factors that play into that, but I think the big dry conditions just makes the ground more brittle, and that's what we're experiencing. That soil moisture profiles are just abysmally dry down there, Kevin, and we are still in that extreme drought in here. You might be interested to hear this, Kevin. I actually emailed Dr. Trent Ford from the Illinois State Water Survey, and I asked him, what's it take to get to exceptional drought? Mm-hmm. Are we on our way in that direction? And his response was, from the water supply, no, but it takes a lot to get there. We've not ever been there, actually, in Central Illinois, based on his measurements that he was. The
We've
data he was
never
able to
hit
see.
exceptional
We've
here?
not been to exceptional. We've only been to the extreme. 2012 was the year where it was just extreme all over. So I don't know if we'll get there, but if we keep
Is it kind of like the EF5? Like it takes a lot to get to EF5. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
kinda,
and the other thing too is, think of the damage indicators. What damage indicators are there right now of drought? Really, the only thing is the rivers and lakes.
Yeah.
The agricultural impacts would be what would push that over. So if we're sitting in March, April, May, and still in a world of hurt, maybe then we can get that. But we're kind of touching on the idea of that 2012 drought. Of course, completely different time of year, where we're sitting in the extreme just like them. But I think this one is a much more the agriculture community very nervous about this one because traditionally the winter months are the driest months of the year, right? We only average a couple of inches of moisture typically because when it snows, on average in Illinois, 1 inch of rain is equal to 13 inches of snow. So to get the amount of snow, Kevin, that we would need, you'd have to have like 150 inches of snow to match that there. So we're not getting as much moisture. Now, the snow does insulate the ground a little bit, and somebody pointed out and they said, well, it's keeping more moisture from leaving the soil. And I was like, what moisture, right? 97th, 99th percentile for some of the 6-12-inch measurements of lack of moisture, how dry it is down there. So, yeah, maybe it's slowly putting in some moisture, but we're in such a hurt, we really need rain more than we do snow.
Talking with meteorologist Jacob Dickey here in the WCA3 Plus podcast studio here on our wide view. How you guys doing up there?
That's cool.
Yeah, they got
a new camera
nice
up
looking.
Yeah.
Little
Are they
white,
putting in a
little
kitchen
white
and
shot.
a little mini? They got a mini fridge.
There's
Water. What else?
if you need a water, they get you little mini waters.
I could picture a nice milk machine right there for you.
Milk would be good too.
Right.
I would definitely take
Chocolate
some. Nah, just regular.
Just regular milk. Wow.
Just regular milk there. Well, you're talking about some of the winter months here. Typically being the driest. I think what potentially we are going to have going for us is the pattern, though, that we are in is still in a pattern that keeps these little clipper systems kind of coming along. Now, whether that's, going to be snow or rain with some of them, or, I still think that, we have the opportunity to get moisture in here a little bit more with this, pattern, especially going out of this La Nina. We're going to go into this neutral pattern here as we head into spring. And from what I've seen over the years, and this is kind of, we're really kind of jumping ahead, but getting on a topic that me and you like to talk about is, is severe weather, kind of becoming a thing there. Sometimes when you get into more of that neutral kind of pattern sometimes. So, the question always comes up even in the winter, what about winter severe weather? We've had plenty of that over the years here. Any thoughts on kind of what may be coming down the line here?
Yeah, so some of the, if you have, Judy Frazier and I have talked about this before. When she was doing the weather for years and years and years, she never remembers in the wintertime ever having severe weather events. And it's very apparent in the last 15 years around here that wintertime severe weather events have really taken off. 2010, Lake Petersburg tornado, EF3 out there, went through the lake subdivision, caused a lot of damage. 2013, I think we all know that one, Gifford, Washington. 2018, Taylorville. We've had some bigger events in the 2010s where they've been a lot of smaller tornadoes. Recently, since I've been here, Kevin, it's already been over 5 years. That's crazy to think about. We had that January event, the largest January. I mean, it's very clear that we're seeing more of it now. There's not enough data to say, yes, this is a trend. But to me, we're in a world of forecasting. I think those wintertime events are becoming more and more common here. And one, the jet stream being more active. If you're able to get that warm Gulf of Mexico in place, that typically helps to keep things a little more warmer. We're now kind of in that battle zone. So it's always a question when you get these systems coming on. Well, are we on the cold side or are we on the warm side? I think traditionally a lot more low pressures were Southern Illinois, Kentucky, Tennessee, and that gave us the snow events that the people really remember. But yeah, we're kind of in that battle zone. So, and here's the thing too is, next week, Christmas, the data has been suggesting, Kevin, that 50s seem really likely.
Yeah.
Some of the data
maybe 60.
Yeah, some of the data has been pushing record temperatures for Christmas Day. And then it kind of changes. Oh, maybe it's the day after Christmas, maybe the day before. Whatever way you look at it, it's going to be warm. And I don't think that's going to change. We'll see up and downs, but I think we'll still see periods of warmth through January and February, ups and downs. And that probably doesn't go away. So I think the chance there for severe weather. Some of the analogs I think tend to suggest in patterns like this you see more March than you do. You load the severe weather season early. We loaded the winter season early, so maybe we get an early swing to that in March and then quiet things down. But it doesn't seem like we ever get quiet around here anymore.
Well, and that's what I said too. I think I referenced that in a post. I was like, it seems like it is never calm around here anymore. But as I always like to say, things like to balance out, because for like 3 months this summer, it was hot, dry. We didn't even have like thunderstorms a lot of days. Like it was such a calm, in terms of, active weather patterns and systems coming through. But
at the same time, that's still active weather, because that really crippled some of the farmers out there.
Yeah, we didn't have any.
It's great, nice and sunny, but
any moisture, and then the drought, and that's what led to that. But now we're swinging back, so maybe we can salvage the springtime there and get some rain in here.
Yeah, I think that'll happen too. And for instance, the system coming through today on this Thursday here, some folks say, well, okay, if we take the 13-1, that means we'd get 6 to 8 inches. It comes through a lot quicker. Whereas, we squeeze out 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch rain, it's more efficient to get it as rain, to get that moisture, than it is to snow. It doesn't automatically mean that, because there's a duration factor too. If it rains heavy for, an hour and you get an inch of rain, you're not going to get 13 inches of snow in an hour from that same setup there. You might get a few inches, but from the efficiency perspective, to get out of this drought and to roll into the spring where we need to be, to where farmers aren't hurting, we got to get some rain. And I think that, you're right. I think that's going to be the case. But does that rain come with the side of something else? That's the big question.
Well, I think, again, here we are, mid-December, and we've got still several inches of snow on the ground, but the rain helping to melt away some of that, the warmer temperatures. I've always wanted to do like a contest of, okay, when does the pile of snow at the mall melt?
Right.
Give us your date and time that the snow pile at the mall or Walmart or whatever, because those things stay sometimes.
Yeah, there's like a 12-foot pile at the end of my driveway.
Oh, yeah, that too.
And I was like, well, that's probably going to be there for a little while. But,
you're not going to go out there and shovel that?
The only way to get a white Christmas is just take some binoculars and look at that snow pile, and that's how you're going to get it this year. So.
Well, and I've had that question too, is, we're not going to have snow on Christmas falling, but technically, if there's still snow on the ground, is that a white Christmas kind of thing? I've never abided by that. I'm like, it's gotta be snowing.
Yeah. The technical definition, I think, is 1 inch of snow on the ground or falling. We had I'm called it a dirty white Christmas, because it was kind of that leftover slush, brown. And it was technically more than an inch a couple of years ago. That's when we had that bitter cold blast. You sent me up to Hoopston to cover.
That's right. You had a fire, right?
Right before Christmas, and then it was like 40 below zero wind chills. We did have snow, but it just wasn't very pretty at that point. You're right. I want it to snow and fall. Yeah. Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, give us a nice fresh coating, not this slushy gunk.
Well, this
yuck.
The yuck is no good. And listen, recently, obviously, there have been a lot of fires, and thinking of these firefighters out there fighting this stuff when it's below freezing. It's such a thing. And I feel like every year it's just like, here we go again. And then the things that they've got to go through to battle some of those big fires.
Yeah, home heating fires in the wintertime, 80% of fires fire fatalities are caused by home heating setups. Think of space heaters, and then 1 out of every 3 fires is attributed to that. So high frequency of fatal fires, unfortunately, in the winter months from the space heaters and the boilers and the oil lamps and things like that. But people got to stay warm. You got to think about that kind of stuff, because then the firefighters, you're right, go out there. I remember the Hoopston fire a few years back, and we've seen it before too. And other fires, there's been Gibson and Champaign. Those firefighters, when they're fighting it, they have the icicles all over their beard. They're on their jackets and things like that. And the one thing that stood out to me is that the firefighters at the Hoopston, it was like fully engulfed house fire. That was one of 2 they had at the same time. They said, it's 40-degree wind chill values. We're standing kind of close because it's keeping us warm and keeping things from freezing on us to where things were burning. So, you get about 20 yards away, and it's like, oh, it's kind of warm right here. But then step back and 40 below zero wind chills, which is no fun for anyone.
Instantly freezing there.
Yeah.
All right, so we've got about a minute or so left here. Any kind of final thoughts here for what we're going to be expecting over the next few weeks, wrapping up December and going into January?
We'll be taking some betting odds now. Is that what we do?
Right.
Right. Betting odds on Christmas. Some of the guidance saying it'd be record warm. If we can get to 60 degrees on Christmas Day.
Is that the record?
No, 65 is the record.
Okay, 65.
If we can get to 60, that means 4 out of the last 6 Christmases are in the top 5 warmest Christmases in the record. That's an interesting stat. Interested in that? I think January and February, though, Kevin, maybe we get a little break, but probably going to pick back up. So
pick back up again.
Yeah.
Get a February blizzard, probably,
Yeah, and if not, we'll get one at Dairy Queen. We'll do that.
Hey, there you go.
Podcast in the road. Can we do that?
Reese's peanut butter cup for me.
Cookie dough here.
Okay,
If you're watching, maybe they'll bring us one.
Hey, there you go. Hey, guys, appreciate you guys stopping by again here for Behind the Forecast. I think we're going to make this kind of a regular thing with the guys and just kind of talk shop about what's going on in the weather and the patterns and things that we've been seeing. And anytime there's big storms and systems coming along as well. So, Jacob.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks
Glad
for
to be
coming
here.
in, man.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I'll probably have to plan another vacation, get out of here when the next storm comes.
No, not allowed. All right, guys, that wraps things up here with our latest edition of Behind the Forecast. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time.